I never thought it would come to this, honestly. I thought I knew Bailey inside and out. We've been together for 3 years, engaged for 6 months, and I always believed she was the one. We planned everything, our future, the house, having kids someday. I was confident she loved me, at least I thought I was confident. But that night, everything shattered in a way I never saw coming. It all started on a Saturday evening. We had the engagement dinner planned at that fancy restaurant downtown. Everyone was there, friends, family, the whole damn community. I was on cloud nine, honestly. Bailey looked stunning, and I kept thinking how lucky I was to marry such a beautiful woman who finally agreed to settle down with me. The night was perfect, until it was. Bailey was acting a little off all night, though. She kept yawning, looking at her phone, and brushing me off whenever I tried to hold her hand or kiss her. She told me she was just tired, that she'd been stressed with work lately. I bought it, honestly, I did, but something felt off. She's not the type to get tired during our special night. She's usually the life of the party, the one who loves to dance and joke around. That night she barely smiled, barely responded. I thought maybe she was just overwhelmed or maybe just not into the whole thing, but it was enough to make me a little uneasy. After dinner, everyone hung around and I decided to take a quick walk to clear my head. I wanted to savor the moment, to hold on to the happiness of that day. I stepped outside for some air, and that's when I noticed her purse was just sitting on the table. Usually Bailey keeps her purse closed, but tonight, it was just there unattended like a red flag waving right in front of me. I wasn't thinking clearly, I just grabbed it. Maybe I wanted to find a sweet note she'd written or some excuse for her weird mood. I rummaged through it, and that's when I found the first thing that made my stomach drop. A hotel key card hidden under her makeup bag. My heart started pounding. I didn't even have to think about what it meant. The hotel was in her name, the same one she'd always joked about, the one just a few blocks from where we were. I slipped it out, stared at it in disbelief. My mind was racing, trying to find some rational explanation, but nothing made sense. Who was she meeting? Why was she lying? I looked around in her purse more carefully, and that's when I found the texts. There were messages, flirty, suggestive, downright inappropriate. She was talking to someone named Jake, telling him she was exhausted from the long day, but also mentioning how much she missed him. She kept saying she couldn't wait to see him again. She sent pictures, too, nothing explicit, but enough to make it clear she was having sex with someone else. My blood ran cold. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind, so naive. How many times had I ignored her odd behavior, her little lies? All those times she told me she was tired or working late or just busy. She was screwing around with my best friend. I felt like I was going to throw up. I sat down on the park bench outside, clutching her purse and the hotel key. My mind was spinning. How could she do this? To me, to us, and my friend, my best friend, how could he betray me like this? I'd always trusted both of them. That trust, that bond, was gone now. It was like someone had ripped my heart out and stomped on it. I stayed there for a long time, just staring at the evidence. I didn't cry. I was too furious, too shattered. I wanted to confront her right then, scream at her, demand answers. But I knew I needed to think. I told myself I'd wait until morning, but inside I knew that wouldn't be enough. I had to face her, and I had to know the truth about everything. I never imagined my life would take this turn, especially not on what was supposed to be one of the happiest nights of my life. I couldn't sleep that night. My mind kept circling back to the hotel key and those texts. I kept asking myself how she could be so blatantly lying, so brazen in her betrayal. The worst part was the feeling of betrayal, not just from her but from my best friend, Mike. How long had this been going on? Did she ever love me? Or was I just some placeholder until she decided she wanted something else? These questions haunted me, and I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. The next morning I woke up early, still clutching her purse like it was some kind of evidence bag. I came to a decision. I had to see her. I had to confront her face to face, see her reaction. I got dressed quickly, grabbed my phone, and headed to her place. I was a wreck, honestly. My heart was pounding so loudly I thought it might burst. I kept telling myself that I deserved the truth, no matter how bad it was. I needed answers. When I arrived, she was still in bed, looking half asleep, with her hair a mess and her face showing that "I'm tired but also guilty" look. I didn't say a word at first. I just pulled out her purse, showed her the hotel card and the texts. I kept my tone even but firm. "Explain this, Bailey. What's going on?" Her initial reaction was classic. She looked surprised, then annoyed, then tried to brush it off. "You're reading too much into it. It's nothing," she said, her voice dripping with irritation. "You're overthinking again, like always. It's probably some stupid coincidence. Maybe I just left the hotel key there by mistake. And those texts, I don't even know who Jake is. You're reading into it too much. Why are you making a big deal?" I wasn't buying it, not for a second. Her tone was defensive, her eyes darting around, trying to evade my gaze. I could see the lie in her eyes, the way her hands fidgeted. She was lying, and I knew it. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. All the pain, all the confusion, swelled inside me like a tidal wave. I wanted to scream, to shake her until she confessed. But I stayed silent, just looking at her, trying to process the betrayal. She finally snapped, "Look, I've been tired, okay? It's not what you think. I was just stressed, and maybe I was careless with my phone. I don't know what you're trying to accuse me of. You're always so paranoid." Her voice was sharp, defensive, like she was angry I was questioning her. But I wasn't going to back down. I had seen enough. I told her I needed some space, that I wasn't going to just forget about what I found. She rolled her eyes, threw on a fake smile, and said she was done with the drama and that I was overreacting. That exchange left me feeling cold. I knew she was lying. I could see it in her face, in her posture. But what gutted me most was the way she dismissed everything, like my feelings didn't matter. Like I was supposed to pretend I hadn't seen the proof right in front of me. I felt so betrayed, so humiliated. And I kept asking myself, how did I miss all the signs? All those little things I ignored, the late nights, the secretive phone calls, the strange texts. All of it was there, right in front of me, hiding in plain sight. That day, I didn't want to stay in that house one more second. I packed a bag, told her I was leaving to clear my head. She was nonchalant about it, like she didn't care either way. That hurt more than anything. It was like she was already planning her next move. Or maybe she just didn't care about the damage she'd done to us. I drove away feeling numb, like I'd lost a part of myself. My world had been turned upside down, and I didn't even know where I stood anymore. All I knew was that I couldn't trust her, Mike, or anyone else who might be involved in this mess. I was completely devastated, and I had no idea how to pick up the pieces or what was coming next. After I left her house, I didn't go anywhere specific. I just drove around aimlessly, trying to clear my head, but nothing helped. Every song on the radio seemed to mock me. Every street reminded me of the happier times I thought we had. I kept staring at my phone, debating whether to call Mike, confront him, or just block him out entirely. Honestly, I felt so betrayed I didn't even want to speak to either of them. I felt like I'd been punched repeatedly, and all I wanted was to sit with my pain and somehow make sense of it all. It was hours later when I finally decided I had to face the truth directly. I'd been in denial, telling myself maybe it was all some misunderstanding, but deep down I knew better. I knew I had to talk to Mike. I needed to hear from him, from the source. I also knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine or that I could sweep this under the rug. If I didn't do something, I'd carry this pain forever. So I reached out to him, and his reaction wasn't what I expected. He answered the phone with that casual, slightly cocky tone he always used, like he didn't think what he did was a big deal. But it was a big deal to me. I told him I knew everything about the hotel, the texts, her lies. There was silence on the other end for a beat, then he tried to act innocent, saying, "Dude, I don't know what you're talking about. Bailey's been stressed, that's all. You're reading too much into it." Yeah, right, I didn't buy it. I pressed him harder, telling him I'd found the proof and that I knew about the sex. That's when his tone shifted and he tried to justify it, saying she was hot and bored, and that they'd been messing around for a while. He didn't sound remorseful. He sounded annoyed that I was even bothering him. Hearing him admit it made my blood boil. I felt the rage building up inside me, mixed with heartbreak. How could my best friend do this? How could he betray me like that, sleep with my wife, and then act like it was nothing? I wanted to scream at him, call him every name I could think of. But I just told him to stay the hell away from me, that I never wanted to see him again, that I was done. Hanging up, I felt an overwhelming sense of loss, not just of my marriage or my friend, but of my trust in everything I thought was real. That night I struggled with so many conflicting emotions. I was furious, crushed, confused, and deeply hurt. I kept asking myself if I was somehow responsible for this mess, if I missed the signs, or if I just wasn't good enough. I replayed every moment we had shared, the laughs, the plans, her kisses, and it all felt meaningless now. I tried to hold on to some sense of dignity, but it was slipping away fast. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, about to fall into a dark pit I couldn't see the bottom of. I knew I had to make a decision. I couldn't keep living in this pain, in this betrayal. I told myself I'd give myself time to process everything, but I also knew I couldn't stay in that house, pretending everything was okay. The betrayal had cut too deep. I started thinking about my future, about what I really wanted. Was it possible to forgive her? Could I ever trust her again? I honestly didn't know. All I knew was that I never expected to wake up one day and realize my entire relationship was built on lies. It felt like I'd been sucker punched, and now I was trying to breathe through the shock. Regardless of what I decided, I knew my life had forever changed because of her and Mike. I just hoped I could survive this somehow. The days that followed were a blur of sleepless nights and endless thoughts. I couldn't escape the feeling that I'd been completely duped, that the woman I loved and the man I called my best friend had both betrayed me in the worst way possible. It was like waking up every morning knowing I'd been robbed of something precious. I kept replaying the moment I found her purse, the hotel key, those texts. The more I thought about it, the more I realized how much I had ignored, how many signs I had brushed aside, convincing myself that everything was fine. I started questioning every interaction, every word she had said during those last few weeks. Was she ever really into me? Did she love me at all? Or was I just some placeholder for her, a fool who believed in a fairy tale? The pain was relentless. I felt like I was losing my mind, and honestly, I was scared of what I might do if I kept dwelling on it. But at the same time, I couldn't stop myself from obsessing over her lies, her manipulations, her reckless cheating. It was a punch to the gut every time I remembered her bitchy attitude when I confronted her, like I was the bad guy for daring to ask questions. I knew I had to do something, but I wasn't sure what that was yet. I decided to take a step back from everyone, detox from the chaos, if you will. I needed space to breathe, to think clearly. I rented a small apartment nearby, somewhere I could be alone without her constant presence. The first couple of nights there, I just sat in silence, staring at the wall, trying to piece myself back together. The hardest part was not breaking down or giving in to despair. One morning, I decided to confront her again, but this time with a different approach. I called her, knowing she'd try to lie her way out of everything, but I needed to hear it from her directly. I told her I knew about the affair, that I found the text, the hotel key, everything. Her reaction was typical: denial, denial, denial. She insisted she was just tired, that she was overwhelmed with her job, that I was paranoid. She argued that I was blowing things out of proportion, that she never cheated on me, and that I was paranoid and insecure. Honestly, it was infuriating. Her tone was bitchy and dismissive, like I was some jealous fool accusing her of something she didn't do. But I wasn't buying her bullshit anymore. I could see the lies in her eyes, the way she tried to deflect. She kept repeating that she loved me, that it was just a mistake, that she was not that kind of person. I wanted to believe her, God, I really did. But the evidence was in front of me, and her attitude made it clear she didn't care about my feelings. She was more annoyed that I was bringing up this mess than she was sorry for what she had done. That day, I felt a strange mix of relief and anger. Relief because I finally knew the truth, even if it hurt like hell. Anger because I realized how much she had lied and manipulated me, how she had been so bitchy and dismissive when I deserved honesty. I told her that I couldn't stay with someone who treated me like I was crazy for simply wanting the truth. I said I needed time and space to heal, and that I wasn't sure if I could ever forgive her. She snapped back with a sneer, said I was overreacting again, and told me I was a fool for believing in her. I hung up feeling more broken than ever. But deep down, I knew this was the wake-up call I needed. The betrayal was so raw, so real. That pretending everything was okay was no longer an option. I could feel my trust had been shattered into a million pieces. The part of me that still clung to hope was slowly fading. I knew I couldn't go back to the way things were, not after this. But more than anything, I knew I had to find a way to survive this, to come out the other side somehow stronger, even if I didn't know how yet. I just kept telling myself, I deserved better than this bullshit. Following weeks were the hardest of my life. I felt like I was walking around in a fog, caught between anger, sadness, and disbelief. Every time I thought I had a moment of clarity, something else would hit me. Another lie she told, another detail I missed, another way she manipulated me with her bitchy attitude. It was like she was trying to rip my heart out slowly, one lie at a time. I've never felt so humiliated, so shattered. The trust I once had in her, in everything we built, was gone. It was as if I had been living in a nightmare that I couldn't wake up from. I started seeing a counselor to help me deal with the emotional chaos. Talking to someone who didn't know any of us helped me put a little perspective on things. I realized I'd been so blinded by love that I ignored the warning signs, the little red flags pointing to her infidelity. But it wasn't just about her cheating. It was about how she lied, dismissed my feelings, and treated me like I was the crazy one for trying to understand her. That bitchy attitude she always threw around, telling me I was paranoid, accusing me of overreacting. That was her way of deflecting, her way of making me question myself. One day, I finally sat down and really thought about what I wanted. Did I want to stay and try to fix this mess? Or was it better to cut my losses and move on? Honestly, every part of me screamed to run, to forget her, to erase her from my life. But I also knew I deserved an explanation, a reason. I owed myself that much. So I reached out one last time, not to beg or plead, but to get some closure. I told her I was done with the lies, that I wanted the truth, no matter how brutal it was. Her response was typical defensive, bitchy, full of excuses. She claimed she was just tired, stressed out, and that I was blowing things out of proportion again. She didn't even bother denying the affair outright. Instead, she threw accusations back at me, saying I was insecure, jealous, and paranoid. That's when I realized that her attitude was all about control, trying to make me doubt myself so I wouldn't confront her. She didn't care about our relationship. She cared about keeping her secrets safe and her ego intact. The hardest part was accepting that I might not get the truth I wanted, but I knew I had to stop looking for answers in someone who was so good at lying. I had to focus on healing myself, rebuilding my confidence, and moving forward. I started distancing myself from her completely, blocked her number, cut off all contact, and started spending time with friends who genuinely cared about me. I needed people who could remind me of who I was before all this mess. As I look back now, I realize how much this experience taught me about trust, betrayal, and resilience. I learned that some people are just not worth the pain they cause, that sometimes you have to lose everything to realize your own worth. I'm still hurt, still angry, and honestly, I feel like I'll carry this scar for a long time. But I also know that I'm stronger than I thought I was. I survived her lies, her manipulation, her bitchy attitude. And I will keep surviving because I refuse to let someone like her define me or my future. Sometimes the only way to heal is to cut out the poison and focus on the good left in your life. And that's what I'm trying to do now. Looking back now, I see how much this whole ordeal changed me. I used to be trusting, maybe even a little naive about people. I believed in honesty, in loyalty, in the idea that love was enough. But I've learned that some people are just manipulative and selfish. People who will lie, cheat, and betray without a second thought. Bailey was one of those people. Mike was another. And I was blindly trusting them until I got slapped in the face with the harsh reality. Eventually, I realized I had two choices: stay stuck in the past, consumed by anger and regret, or take control of my life and move forward. I chose the second. It wasn't easy. Some days I still feel the sting, those moments when the pain hits unexpectedly, like missing a beat in a song. But I remind myself that I deserve better. I deserve someone who won't lie to my face or cheat behind my back. I deserve respect, honesty, and love that's genuine. Now I'm focusing on myself. I'm working on rebuilding my confidence, rediscovering my passions, and reconnecting with friends and family who never stopped believing in me. I've become more cautious, more aware of red flags, but I haven't lost faith in love altogether. I just know now that I need to be with someone who truly values me, who shows their loyalty every day. I've also learned that revenge isn't the answer, at least not the kind that hurts others. The real revenge is living well, proving to yourself that you're better than the betrayal you endured. I want anyone reading this to know that betrayal cuts deep, but it doesn't have to define you. Sometimes, you have to hit rock bottom to realize your own strength. And even if it takes time, healing is possible. Trust can be rebuilt, but only with someone who genuinely cares and proves it. Most importantly, don't let the actions of others make you question your worth. You are enough. You always were. So here I am, still standing, a little wiser and a lot more cautious. It hurts, but I'll get through it. Life moves on, and I'll keep moving forward, stronger, smarter, and ready for whatever comes next.